Zac Efron earns a big payday while on a luxurious yacht with older men. His net worth has increased by $5 million from other ventures outside of acting.
The actor from A Family Affair joined a group of friends on a yacht off the coast of the neighboring island of Formentera. Zac has been enjoying his time in Europe, even attending the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Zac Efron went from Disney's golden boy to being whispered about in the most shocking yacht scandals of Hollywood. Behind the glitz and glam, rumors say Zac was caught up in the secret world of yachting, where rich and powerful men pull the strings. These older men allegedly pressured him into taking part in extravagant trips that weren't as innocent as they looked. At one point, Zac supposedly tried to step away from that lifestyle, but the man controlling his bookings wasn't having it. This wasn't just business, it was dangerous. Sources claim Zac faced violent threats and even physical attacks whenever he refused orders. That's why people believe he's been so fearful of walking away from this shadowy scene. Now, a lot of people have begged me to dive into Zac's alleged yachting days because we've already seen how this world works with the so-called yacht girls. Models, influencers, and even socialites have been tied to wealthy billionaires on luxury boats, doing things they'd never agree to if money wasn't involved.
In the same year, Zac was going to rehab repeatedly for cocaine and alcohol, and also supposedly broke his face by slipping in a puddle of water with socks on while running through his home. We'll get back to that, I promise. Well, that same year, Vanity Fair and Hollywood Reporter both published deep dives on how the Cannes Film Festival yachting scene was actually a major venue for sex work.
One commenter summed it up by saying, "Zac is trapped in a world he never asked for." And honestly, that hits hard because this isn't just about lavish parties, it's about control, money, and power. When you hear the whispers about what really goes down on those yachts, it's no wonder Zac's name keeps coming up in the most scandalous conversations. And just so it's clear, everything I'm telling you is alleged. But the fact that so many people keep connecting Zac to this underground world makes you wonder, what's really going on? I can't say for sure if Zac Efron is truly a yacht boy, but I've gathered all the whispers, clues, and shady details online. And today, I'm laying them out for you. Some people have even gone as far as to say, Zac Efron has been groomed his whole life. He shouldn't be judged for the results of that abuse. That's a heavy claim, and it shows just how serious this conversation really is. Here's the truth. There isn't a lot of official coverage on Zac's alleged yachting ties. No major outlet is going to put this story on the front page because this kind of world stays hidden, far from the spotlight. But when you look at Zac's life, the signs start piling up in ways that are hard to ignore. Being a child star came with a dark price. Zac has faced addiction battles, messy fame struggles, and even that terrifying incident where he slipped near a pool, shattered his jaw, and wound up hospitalized. And when you add in the fact that so many moments in his life have felt unexplained and suspicious, it paints a picture of someone who's been through way more than the public ever sees. We all know he's had documented struggles with alcohol and drugs, which eventually pushed him into rehab. But this is where the speculation gets intense. People say yachting is the secret playground of Hollywood's elite. Rich and powerful men bring celebrities into their world, mixing luxury trips with blurred lines that many believe are far from innocent. And when Zac's name keeps surfacing in conversations about this hidden culture, it makes you wonder, what's really going on behind the scenes? And let's be real, there's big money in this world. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars being thrown around like pocket change. These powerful men see Zac Efron, they like the image, and suddenly he's allegedly booked for their exclusive circles. Now here's where it gets dark. Many modeling agencies tied to events like the Cannes Film Festival have been exposed for being fronts.
Interview with insider Alina Haas, which was backed up by other verified Cannes regulars, it really paints a startling picture around what is otherwise known as one of the most prestigious film festivals in the world. And just how does Haas know so much about this seedy underworld? Well, he was actually part of it.
Young women, and sometimes men, are scouted with promises of high-end jobs in France, only to later find themselves pushed onto yachts where the work isn't modeling at all. Some know exactly what they're signing up for, but others, They're blindsided and trapped in situations that feel way too close to trafficking. When it comes to Zac, his name has been whispered in these circles more than once. And yes, there have even been blind items linking him to this shadowy world. One blind read, just when you think this A-list actor was finally out of the grip of the powerful figure who's controlled much of his life, you realize that even the sober coach sent to him was connected to that same figure. She was used for several projects by him. In this context, Ali is a coded name used to describe someone who has control over another person's career and personal life.
A Svengali is a person who controls others with powerful mental manipulation. This vanity name is revealed in this particular blind item to be Saudi Arabian film producer Mohammed Al-Turki. Zac was linked to Mohammed Al-Turki all the way back in 2012 in this blind item with photo evidence to boot. Zac was spotted in the south of France with both Mohammed and Alexandra Storm, a model who they noted usually travels the world with Mohammed. But this wasn't the first time Alexandra was seemingly paired up with Zac, with the item going on to say the same thing happened back in New York last year. And, quote, Zac visits Mohammed and Alexandra spends time with Zac. Thanks, Molly, unquote. Presumably a reference to the drug we know he struggled with.
And the buzz is that this was about Zac Efron, with names like Mohammed Al-Turki and Vanessa Valdo tied into the conversation. If true, that paints a picture of Zac never really being free, just moving from one form of control to another. Another blind item claims that during yachting season, Zac Efron is rarely left alone. The whispers say this mysterious figure, often referred to as Sali, keeps a tight grip on him, always making sure Zac has work lined up. Whoever this Sali really is, people believe he's one of the men running the yachting game out of Cannes. One person put it perfectly. It always amazes me how seemingly successful people fall under the spell of these guys. And the speculation doesn't stop there. Some believe Sali has dirt on Zac. Private details that would be embarrassing if they ever came out. Allegedly, this is how Sally keeps Zac tied to him, using secrets as leverage in a way that reminds people of other powerful men who've been accused of controlling those around them. But here's where it gets even darker. Another source alleged that Zac once hooked up with this man while yachting, and ever since then, he's been trapped in a cycle of blackmail and abuse.
But there's more from another blind item from September of 2013, 5 months later. Quote, Lindsay was seen out yesterday with Mohammed Al-Turki, who last I heard had a plane full of women and Zac Efron at their feet like a panting lapdog. So how did Zac get involved with Mohammed? Well, remember how I said Mohammed is a film producer? Mohammed executive produced 9 films between 2010 and 2014.
People even claimed that many of Zac's unexplained injuries might not have been accidents at all, but the result of violent outbursts when Sali didn't get his way. Fans couldn't believe it, with one writing, "I am gagged. What do you mean, new bruises?" The rumors suggest that Zac isn't the only one. Just like how people pointed out bruises on Lindsay Lohan in the past, this blind hints at a disturbing pattern. Whenever these powerful men feel disrespected or denied, the people around them pay the price in the worst way. Wow, so this is how the game really works. These powerful men dangle film roles and fame like bait, saying, "Do what I ask, and I'll give you everything you've dreamed of." And once they have you, they flip it, using that same fame to boost their own status, bragging, "I can deliver Zac Efron, but it's gonna cost extra." That's how they profit, not just from control, but from selling the image of someone who's already in demand.
That now that chin has more extension forward than it did previously. There's also increased width.
I think that he has had some jaw work. It looks more like an implant, whether that was metal plates or a jaw implant for aesthetics.
So going back to 2013, around the time he was stinting in and out of rehab, he broke his face and had to endure long-term physical therapy. A strange accident that wouldn't come to light until almost 10 years later. According to Zac, he was running in socks and supposedly slipped in a puddle of water, and that made him hit his chin on a marble fountain, causing it to shatter and hang off.
Now, let's shift to something fans never stop speculating about: Zac's face. You've seen those before and after photos floating around online. People argue about whether he's obsessed with plastic surgery, but others think it's way darker. Maybe he's not choosing cosmetic tweaks at all. Maybe he's fixing damage from things that happened behind closed doors. That infamous jaw injury? People still don't buy the story. Zac said he slipped in his home back in 2022 while running in socks, hit his chin on the granite, and shattered his jaw. But some fans don't believe it for a second. One person flat out said, "I still don't buy the Jaw story. My gut says whatever happened, it wasn't good." Others have dissected the timeline, pointing out that photos taken soon after didn't show signs of his jaw being wired shut long enough for the kind of fracture he claimed. Some even question if it was wired at all. That raises a chilling question. Was this really an accident, or could it tie back to the same abusive circles that insiders say have controlled him for years? Because let's be real, slipping on clean floors and socks might sound relatable, but when the puzzle pieces don't line up, people start asking what really happened. Zac once claimed that during his accident, he actually blacked out. And when he woke up, his chin bone was practically hanging off his face. Can you imagine that? He even said the injury caused his masseter muscle, the big jaw muscle right here, to double in size, which some believe is why his face looks so drastically different now.
The correlations between Zac spending time with Mohammed and Zac winding up in the hospital. Like how in 2019, Zac was airlifted to a hospital in Brisbane, Australia after reportedly suffering a case of typhoid while shooting his reality show in Papua New Guinea, ironically called Killing Zac Efron. Which, it's a little odd because typhoid is one of the vaccines the CDC recommends before traveling somewhere like New Guinea where typhoid is common. And the timing coincides with this narrative from another blind item that came out in January 2020.
But people aren't buying that a simple fall could do all this. And here's the darker angle. Fans keep pointing out that this isn't the only injury Zac's had that doesn't make sense. Over and over, whispers suggest that these accidents might not be accidents at all, but signs of something more sinister, like abuse connected to the same yachting world he's been tied to. Take Ibiza, for example. There was a wild incident there where Zac ended up falling into a pool during what looked like a late-night party. At the time, the story spread so fast that some even started rumors he had died. That's how chaotic and mysterious it was. And think about it, the pool he fell into didn't even look deep. People who saw the photos guessed it wasn't even 3 feet of water. So unless Zac was just misstepping at the edge, how did he fall so hard? Was he pushed, or was he jumping from somewhere high up, maybe even a roof? None of it adds up, and that's exactly why these theories keep circling. So here's what really makes people raise their eyebrows. Why is it that Mohammed always seems to be around whenever Zac gets injured? It's almost like a pattern, and once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Honestly, if I were Zac, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near these people. I'd be sticking with my brother Dylan all day, because Dylan seems chill and nothing like the shady characters circling Zac's life. Now, let's get into that blind item. It says, "I told you earlier this year that the NG was back in the life of the former Disney star turned A-list, then B-list adult actor. A few months later, that same actor almost ends up dead, just like the last time they were together, which is why he tried to escape in the first place." And guess who this all leads back to? Mohammed Al-Turki. But it doesn't stop there. Another extension of the blind flat out connects him to controlling multiple Hollywood names. The wording went something like, "This foreign-born producer has his grip on the lives of several top actors and actresses." And yes, that same finger was pointed at Mohammed. For years, he's been accused of pushing the buttons of one particular star, our former A-list tweener, now B-list adult actor that everybody knows as Zac Efron. But the blinds also link him to a certain B-list movie actress who keeps popping up in massive, long-running film franchises. If true, that means Zac isn't the only one under this kind of alleged influence. He might just be one piece of a much bigger, scarier Hollywood puzzle. This past summer, another blind claimed that Mohammed wasn't just pulling strings with Zac. He was also allegedly using an A-list, mostly movie actress whose most recent film completely flopped. The blind suggested he was parading her around for his wealthy guests, letting them gawk, touch, and treat her like a prize. And as if that wasn't enough, word is he's already recruited yet another actress into his circle. Here's how it supposedly works. He digs up damaging secrets, the kind of information these stars would never want exposed, then uses it as leverage. Once he's got something to hold over them, he makes sure they play along with his demands. It's manipulation at the highest level, and it keeps them trapped. The whispers say this A-list actress is so controlled that just a few weeks ago, she allegedly spent an entire weekend with a banker. Not for romance, but so the banker would approve financing for one of Mohammed's projects. That's how deep his grip supposedly runs. And he's not stopping there. The blinds also connect him to a foreign-born A-list television actress, someone forced into heavy yachting just to keep her career afloat. So, Mohammed isn't just putting Zac Efron to work, he's allegedly managing multiple actresses at once and running this like a full-blown empire. Think about the kind of money involved. A few hours with someone like Zac could easily cost hundreds of thousands, with Mohammed pocketing a huge cut of it. That's the kind of hustle people believe he's running. But what's most disturbing? The claims that Zac is being beaten and threatened when he steps out of line. If these rumors are even half true, Mohammed isn't just dangerous. He's carved out power in Hollywood by preying on the very people who should be untouchable. It's wild to think about, because while Mohammed's name keeps circling in yacht scandals, he's also been publicly honored in Hollywood. That's what makes this all so twisted. He's moving behind the scenes in the shadiest ways, while also being celebrated at high-profile events. Now, let's talk about Michelle Rodriguez. Her name gets pulled into this story because of how close she's been linked to Mohammed. Back in 2014, rumors started flying that she and Zac Efron were a couple. At the time, the public was confused. Both Zac and Michelle were known for their struggles with drugs and partying, and people thought pairing them up would only make things worse, not better. But the spin on the story was totally different. The narrative being pushed was that they were helping each other stay clean. Some even compared it to two people meeting in rehab and holding each other accountable. On paper, it sounded like a redemption arc, but fans weren't fully buying it. Zac had already entered rehab for alcohol and cocaine, and yet soon after, he and Michelle were spotted vacationing in Europe with Italian entrepreneur Gianluca Vasci. Now, Gianluca didn't shy away from defending them. After Perez Hilton shaded the relationship on The Wendy Williams Show, Gianluca fired back, saying, "Don't be concerned. Zac and Michelle are a healthy influence on each other, and they're a very cute couple." But here's where it raises eyebrows. Gianluca isn't just some random friend. He's a flashy businessman who lives the high life, constantly on yachts, horses, and jet-setting with A-listers. Zac even posted a picture of him on Instagram, calling him the real-life most interesting man in the world. So, was this really about love? Or was it another carefully staged distraction? Pairing Zac with Michelle while keeping him looped into Mohammed's world of yachts, parties, and powerful connections. Never above you, never below you, always by your side. That's the cryptic vibe people picked up when Zac and Michelle jetted off on another getaway toward the end of that summer. The trip started at Gianluca Vacchi's lavish home before the group hopped on a private jet to Sardinia. And here's where the rumors exploded. Was Gianluca entertaining both Zac and Michelle at the same time? Because if you look online, there are endless photos of Zac with Gianluca on yachts, by pools, or riding horses. And the question keeps coming up. What business does Zac, one of Hollywood's most recognizable stars, really have spending so much time with these older, ultra-wealthy men? What are they offering him that he can't already get himself? People have speculated that Gianluca might be one of Mohammed's big spenders, the type of man who pays for access, while Zac is the name that keeps things interesting. And honestly, the photos don't lie. Zac shows up over and over in Gianluca's world of luxury, almost like he's part of the package deal. Fans point out how odd it is to see Zac, young, famous, and successful, constantly surrounded by much older men with money to burn. Some question whether this is about friendship at all, or whether there's a darker arrangement underneath the surface. The whispers suggest it's less about partying and more about deals, power, and control. And when you match these sightings with the sudden spikes in Zac's wealth and lifestyle, people can't help but ask, was this just a coincidence? Or was he being pulled deeper into a world where fame, money, and exploitation are all tangled together? Let's rewind to 2014. Zac, fresh out of rehab, suddenly spotted flaunting his six-pack on a yacht in Ibiza. The headlines loved it, but the whispers behind the scenes weren't so glamorous. Reports claimed Zac was drinking again, despite just completing treatment. For someone battling addiction, that was a red flag waving loud and clear. One insider revealed, his biggest problem is that he always believes he can stop. He'll go cold turkey for 3 or 4 days if he's working, but then he's right back at it. Another added that Zac had things under control at one point, but after his breakup with Vanessa Hudgens, everything spiraled downward. Alcohol, cocaine, Molly, Zac wasn't picky. If it could numb him, it was on the table. Fast forward nearly a decade later, and the scene hadn't changed much. In 2024, Zac was once again photographed on yachts, this time in Saint-Tropez, partying alongside Gerard Butler and a group of women. At first glance, it looked like carefree fun, but the pictures raised more questions than answers. Who were the older men quietly lingering in the background? And most importantly, who was footing the bill for these luxury escapes? Sharp-eyed fans pointed to one man in particular, standing close to Zac in several photos. He wasn't a celebrity, but he looked very comfortable in the middle of the chaos. That led people to wonder, was this just a friend, or was this the financial powerhouse making the whole trip possible? And if so, what exactly did Zac owe him in return? Because when it comes to these yacht stories, nothing ever seems free. And Zac's presence on those decks keeps dragging him back into the same rumors he's been trying to outrun for years. And yes, that really was Gerard Butler hanging with Zac on those yachts. Sorry, Gerard, but the photos don't lie. At this point, the sheer number of yacht appearances Zac has racked up practically cements the Yacht Boy label. Honestly, who else in Hollywood has been caught on more yachts in just 1 year? It's almost like his second home. In July 2024, Zac was spotted again in Saint-Tropez, this time stepping off a yacht with arms full of shopping bags stuffed with luxury items. What really set tongues wagging was the timing. This was happening right around the same time his ex, Vanessa Hudgens, was giving birth to her baby. While she was stepping into motherhood, Zac was boarding yachts, smiling ear to ear and showing off a brand new wardrobe. Photos showed his friends carrying an oversized designer bag back onto the boat, the kind that looked like an entire closet's worth of clothing could fit inside. And fans couldn't help but side-eye the situation. One asked, "Zac, what exactly did you have to do for that haul?" Because let's be real, those bags don't come cheap, and nothing in this yacht world comes without a price. Even more recent pictures show Zac yet again lounging on yachts, looking comfortable in that same circle of wealth and mystery. One commenter summed it up perfectly, writing, "These pics aren't helping the rumors that he's a yacht boy. And that's the problem. No matter how much Zac tries to shake the image, the evidence keeps piling up, one yacht at a time. What was that even about? 1 minute there was buzz, the next it vanished like it never happened. Let's be clear. Yacht boy is basically the same thing as being a rent-a-boy, but on a luxury boat." One person flat out replied, "Yes, escorts, models, and even celebs do it when they need money, or sometimes powerful people in the industry make them do it just to land more work." Another fan chimed in saying, "Every time I see Zac in a vacation setting, I can't help but think he's yachting. And honestly, it makes me sad." And that's the heart of it. On the surface, it looks glamorous, but the whispers behind it paint a much darker picture. Sure, maybe he's getting paid, but is it really by choice? Or is Zac trapped in a lifestyle he can't escape from? Because the rumors don't stop at money. People believe Zac's been beaten, blackmailed, and pushed to the edge more than once. Some even suggest he's had near-death experiences tied to this world, which would explain why he looks so haunted whenever his name gets linked back to yachting. If any of that's true, it makes sense why he hasn't broken away. Fear can keep someone chained tighter than any contract ever could. But you guys have been begging me to dive into this, so here it is. The story of Zac Efron and the endless yacht rumors. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think he's really trapped, or is this just Hollywood gossip gone wild? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. And before you go, check out the next video you see on your screen for even more celebrity drama. I'll see you there.